Alright guys, hope you're all well, keeping safe and you've all had a good weekend. I was an uncle again to my brother's little one, so I had a pretty awesome weekend with the family actually. Today I've got a few pieces of news things to talk about. Some more news on Skyscraper recently confirmed on Reddit. News on how the devs possibly plan to handle the Rainbow Rolls topic on Wednesday's State of the Game. A possible change or changes coming to PvP with the burn status effect. And lastly, stash base to finish it off. If you want to support me, the best way is to always watch my videos to the end. You can join me on Patreon if you wish. Drop a like down below and you can leave a comment. With that said, sit back and let's begin. So first off, I think it's worth talking about Skyscraper and probably the worst content in the series, Kenley College. Now for some people, Kenley College might be enjoyable, but for the most part, it's pretty bad, and I think that's, the community probably agree to that. And it's a mode I've not played since getting the Diamondback, which was a very long time ago. The thing I worry about the most when we get new content now in this game, especially a new game mode like what Skyscraper is going to be, is the devs that are making this are the same ones that made Kenley College. With that said, on the other side, or on the flip side, they're the same devs who made Survival, Resistance, Last Stand and Underground in the Division, I believe. So we know the devs can make brilliant replayable game modes. Now one of my biggest gripes with Kenley College, aside from the obvious ones, is the way it rotates on and off. Even if it was kind of like a really good or replayable game mode, having this rotating system would really spoil the experience for me. And I did worry Skyscraper was going to follow a similar cycle here. Now it's something the devs have done consistently in the game with other things. Well, good news guys, in a Reddit post, Linz responded to the State of the Game post saying, just watch ... Skyscraper will be a 1 week up, 2 weeks down. You heard it here first. This was my fear, to be honest, but Johan responded saying, it will always be available. Now this is really good news, really great news actually. I don't think I could deal with having, a 2 week on, 1 week off cycle for Skyscraper. Just quickly as well, we know new gear is coming with Title Update 11. Well, with Season 3, which I imagine will drop at the same time as TU11. So I'm going to predict that Skyscraper will have some exclusive gear, commendations, patches and apparel attached to it. Or at least I hope there is, otherwise I think it will dry out very, very quickly. And that's one of the main reasons why a lot of people don't play Kenley as well, because there's nothing really exclusive to it apart from the Diamondback. And that's quite possibly my biggest worry with Skyscraper. That's the lack of incentive to play. Exclusive gear, weapons, apparel, and all of that stuff is absolutely needed, along with obviously a really good replayable game mode. Moving on, and State of the Game this Wednesday will be about Rainbow Rolls and how the devs plan to address this common thread within the community. Probably the hottest topic since Gear 2.0, or certainly more recently. Now I've previously put forward my recommendation for how to fix Rainbow Rolls. My idea was to always have one minor attribute match the major attribute on gear items. The reason I thought this would work is because it would mean that if you wanted, say, a forward red piece, for example, as long as the major rolled red, you always have a 33% chance to have it drop as a full red piece. Now if it didn't, you could still recalibrate the one minor attribute to the colour that you wanted. If you're wondering about the mod slots, well, they're going to be generic with Title Update 11, meaning you can put any colour mod anywhere, and I presume that the mod colours will be taken away. The objection to my suggestion on Rainbow Roll loot was people who wanted hybrid builds. Now my argument back is, well, if I rolled, say, a major red with two minor attributes, then the possibilities are red, 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 or red, red and blue, or red, red and yellow. And that's on high-end pieces. Obviously for other pieces with two attributes, then that wouldn't apply. So those are really the three outcomes. Now that means that it's a 66% chance that you can recalibrate the one minor red attribute to the colour of your choosing. So I still think there's space for hybrid builds in this system. That's my suggestion, but I believe the devs have previously said a while ago, and I can't find where they've said it, otherwise I would include it in this video. If I do manage to find it whilst editing the video, I will include it. But basically the system that they're going to be using, I believe, is a weighting system where minor attributes are weighted towards the one major attribute. This means you can still get full rainbow rolls, but they are going to, be less often. Personally, I'm not sure about this approach, to be honest, and it's mainly because it requires the devs to actually balance how the weight of these drops are going to come about. And if there's anything the devs have struggled with up until now, it's balancing. So I've got a bad feeling that they may get the balancing all wrong. My recommendation would require no balancing. It's just the RNG that would affect the drop rates. Now, I'm not totally sure this weighting system is exactly what we are getting, but this is what the devs have said before, so it's pretty likely. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about either of these systems to help with rainbow rolls. What I will say is I share the concern of others who are worried that RNG is going to be completely removed with too many changes. You know, tipping the scales too far towards getting all of your gear in a couple of hours. We still need RNG in the game because it's a looter shooter. We still need to have rainbow rolls. We still need to grind for the gear that we want. Do I think rainbow rolls needed to be looked at? I do. So actually, without contradicting myself, maybe my new system isn't such a good idea, as this would severely reduce the RNG, maybe too far. It may actually go into tipping the wrong way. Now, part of me thinks that the main reason rainbow loot has become such a problem is because most people, they're after the one piece of gear now. And I say that because it didn't feel like much of a problem when Gear 2.0 first dropped, and people were kind of rebuilding it and rebuilding all of their stuff and getting all of their stuff, so it wasn't really on their minds. But now that people have got everything, people all want the best stuff. And that's why we've had the issue over max rolls, and why we've got this the topic now of rainbow rolls. I could be wrong though. Let me know what you think. Let's see what the devs do on Wednesday. Now, I always like to cover any PvP related news just so that any of you guys who do play PvP, I kind of don't want to do a disservice to you by not covering it. So we've got a little bit of PvP related news now. Recently, Bazaar Buzz, who is on Twitter, was part of a Twitter thread surrounding how dominant fire has become within PvP. An example being one guy who got 15 kills in a game without actually shooting their gun once. Aside from just how strong explosive sticky is and burn with its incredible duration, Bazaar Baz responded saying, "The firewall break armor mechanic is pretty stupid." Well, they didn't actually use the word stupid. I've had to remove the actual word because monetization being one of those, and because the word used in this particular tweet was my least favourite word in the world, and I'm just not going to say it. But basically it said, "The firewall break armor mechanic is pretty stupid, Bruce. The amount of times I'm winning a fight then lose because I've broken the guy's armor first is ridiculous. The length of time you're on fire from this mechanic is just far too long for the time to kill we have in PvP." Now, I've not played PvP for a very long time, but when I saw this thread, I decided to actually go into some conflict and just see what happened. Now, first off, fire and burn is ridiculous. There's no doubt about it. I went in with an explosive sticky build, not optimized, and a burn explosive build just to see how good it was, and it dropped people. The burn side of things was ridiculous. It caught loads of people on fire, and it was just went on for ages. It was actually quite enjoyable, to be honest, because, you know, I actually felt really powerful. With that said, you know, I'm all about skill, and there was none of that in there. At one point, I was actually on fire, and then our whole team caught fire, and we all went down. I absolutely agree with Bazaar Baz's comment here about the fire on break talent as part of the firewall specialization. How is it fair, and how does it make sense that you are punished for applying more damage to someone else quicker than they can apply to you? It completely removes the skill gap, and to me that's just completely against what PvP is all about. Not just that, status effects for the most part are already hated, so having the burn effect, you know, making it 10 times worse, and then the duration, which is stupid as well, it's just one big cluster. Now, Bruce responded saying, "I'm beginning to think it might be in our best interest to just disable the fire on break effect in PvP. Now, with my limited time playing recently, I think this would be a good idea. And I suspect, based on the responses agreeing with this, that most PvPers will be happy with this change. I'll tell you what, if the devs make a classic mode where there was like reduced skills and no specialization talents, I'd probably be playing a lot more because skill would be the determining factor most of the time. Even a mode which, you know, there was maybe pre-made builds or assigned roles like Overwatch, for example, I think I'd probably play that all day because skill. I played a ton of the Division PvP because it was fun for many reasons, and whilst builds were still important, you could outperform everyone with skill. I'd run in there with purple builds and do well on my skill alone. I even ran a series on my channel called Against the Meta where I just destroy people using non-meta builds. You don't get that in the Division 2, and it's something PvP absolutely needs. Last but not least, Stash Base. Just a brief one here, guys. I put a poll on my Twitter page about Stash Base, and there will be a link to it in the description. Please go over there and vote. My question is, do we need more Stash Base, or are people just hoarding? Now, the reason I want to address this again is because we know that Season 3 is coming soon, and there's going to be new name gear, I imagine, new weapons and more. So this question isn't going away anytime soon, and the more the devs add, the more this question becomes relevant. Personally, I find that if my stash is getting a bit full, it's because I've hoarded way too much. And once I work my way through the items, I've barely actually got anything left. My rule now is only save items that roll like 90% and above. Everything else I pretty much get rid of, to be honest. It does mean that I've got very few items to make builds with right now. But in the future, once I've got all of those items that are above 90%, I will have those builds and they will be close to max already. More inventory? Question mark? Yes, I think we do need more inventory. Get involved, vote, and leave a comment if you want on the Twitter. That's it for today though, guys. Make sure you've got your notifications turned on if you don't want to miss my State of the Game recap video on Wednesday, where the devs will provide us with their solution, hopefully, for the rainbow loot topic. Thanks very much if you've stuck around until the end. It is by far the best way you can support me, and I really do appreciate it. Until the next one, Epic out.